I don't care how many contacts you have in your database. I care how many contacts have you in your database. Be creative and think outside of the box. And how can you just take a moment bringing Lego, right, to the open house, or bringing a contract to the listing appointment for the kids.
You have one customer who creates two more customers for you. At the end of 5 years, that's 63 customers from just that one customer.
Brittany, thank you so much for being here with us. And thank you for the amazing presentation you just gave out at eXpCon Vancouver.
Yes, thank you for having me. What an amazing audience you had today.
Oh, it was so much fun. And we're here at the beautiful Fairmont here in Vancouver. What a wonderful setting. So you just talked to our EXP agents about creating superfans. What is a superfan?
So a superfan is a customer or stakeholder who is so delighted by their experience that they become an enthusiastic advocate. Or in shorter words, it's a client who's creating more clients for you.
Okay, so in short, the word super, so pulling that out of superfans, is an acronym. We love acronyms in real estate, by the way. What does an acronym super stand for?
So super stands for start with your story, which is essentially you have to be able to tell me why I should care enough to pick you, because sometimes real estate can feel like a Where's Waldo, right? There's so many people and you're like, which one is Waldo and which ones are all just, guys and gals in white and red.
Okay.
So that's the first, to start with your story.
Yes.
You is understand your customer story. What is it that they need? Yes, what they're saying, but also what they're not saying. How can you come alongside them and make this experience magical? P stands for personalize. That's my favorite, probably because it's where you bring those two together. You're connecting your story to theirs. E stands for exceed expectations, and R stands for repeat. So in E, we're looking for all of the ways that we can create more magical moments, more memorable moments in what might otherwise be neutral interactions. And then repeat is where we systemize all it, where we put that high tech together with the high touch to really truly create scalable systems.
That's awesome. And what does the U stand for?
Understand their story.
Understand their story. Mm-hmm. All right. So as real estate agents, when we think of our customers, our buyers and our sellers, and working with them and sort of telling their stories, give us an example of how we would do something kind of the normal way, the standard way, and then how we could do something kind of the superfan way.
Yeah, so there are dozens of repeatable steps, probably hundreds oftentimes of repeatable steps in a process of buying a home or selling a home. Mm-hmm. And so what you can do to do it the super way is to zoom in on any of those and say, how do I make this feel different? So for instance, listing photos, right? Okay. You could have just a normal hey, I need you out of the house because we're going to take listing photos. Or you could say, hey, when's the last time you guys got a nice family photo? Why don't you get all dressed up? Let's capture, a great family photo. Maybe this is the last time you guys are going to get a fancy photo in the living room, or let's get you in front of the house. And that way, now you can check the box that you've got your holiday card photo done, right? So something that doesn't cost you any extra money, costs you very little extra time, creates an experience around that. And so for instance, if you were that listing agent, you could say, let's take a photo, and then you know what, here's gift cards, dinner on me. You guys are going to be dressed up already. Go out, enjoy yourselves, have a nice afternoon or evening out, and then we'll take all the photos while you're gone. So what you've done is elevate it from an annoying check the box, clean the house, be out so we can take photos, to we're going to create an experience around this for your family.
And that creating experiences is such a big part of buying a property, selling a property. I mean, it is an experience, and there are so many touch points along the way that are just little micro experiences. And really what you're encouraging us to do is to think of all those little micro experiences and how we can create an elevated experience of each micro experience.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it with every micro experience every time. It's sort of like the recipes that you write knowing that there's a lot of different ingredients that you're going to stock in your cupboard, and like sometimes you're going to make this and sometimes you're going to make that, but you've got to decide what the recipes are, and then you've got to go shop for all those ingredients and keep them in stock. So things that land really well for empty nesters may not land so well for first-time home buyers, or
Right.
for people that, you know, have 4 kids and are stressed out. So you're able to bring creativity into each of those moments. But the reason why this matters, other than the fact that, you know, it makes it more fun for everybody, for the agent and also the client, is every one of those micro moments where you create an experience is an opportunity for the people to share it with everyone they know.
It is.
Maybe they're going to talk about it. Maybe they're going to put it on social media. You can start earning tons of referrals from your clients before you've ever even sold their home or found the home for them to buy, if you are intentional about all of the micro moments along the journey.
Yes. And so you talked about creativity, micro moments, and you shared so many wonderful examples with us. But one that really resonated with me that I thought was just so creative was the agent that took the contract to the listing appointments for the kids to sign. So tell us about that.
Yes. So I had an agent tell me that she has contracts for elementary age kids and then like junior high school age kids. And anytime she goes on a listing appointment, when she gets out the contract for the parent, she says, oh, by the way, your whole family is moving, so I actually have a contract for you kids too. And she explains why it's important for them to keep their toys away, why they're going to need to be extra flexible
How come
with
they have to
things
clean
like
the
packing stuff
room,
away.
and I love it.
Having to, like, you know, I know usually Tuesday night is pasta night at home, but they're showing, so we're going to have to shift or do something else. And so those kids sign the contract, and she says, if mom and dad give you a thumbs up at the end of this, you've held up your end of the bargain. You get to choose from one of several things when the house sells. And it could be like a Target gift card. It could be, I'm going to take you shopping to get the stuff to paint your room or buy a new bed set or whatever it is, which was just such a great example. Another really cool example that somebody shared with me that they do is they have bags of Lego that they take to every open house.
Right.
So that when somebody has kids, they say, okay, mom and dad are going to look around. Can you build me the house you want to move into? Like, use these bricks.
Oh, that's great.
You sit here and work on building what you want to build so that when mom and dad are done, you can show them what it is.
I love that the kids are just like building the
Right, and they're
Lego,
just, like, totally
right?
occupied.
Because
And
then the kids aren't getting into like trouble, right? Or getting into things in the house while they're looking around, which is ingenious, right?
Right. And what could have been like a, you know, we left after 7 minutes because the kids were being annoying could turn into we're going to take the 13 or 14 minutes to walk through and have the conversation and maybe decide right now to make an offer before we go to another house 3 hours later and decide we like that one a little more. So all of those little micro moments of what can you do to control the controllables in the environment to tip the scale in your favor for the outcomes that you want.
So good. So many good ideas. And that takeaway that I think that I would want everyone listening to think about is be creative and think outside of the box. And how can you just like take a moment, like bringing Lego, right, to the open house, or bringing a contract to the listing appointment for the kids. Like, how can you do things like that to elevate the experience for not just the adults, but everyone involved in the transaction? So when you broaden your perspective, I think, for what is going on, right, that opens up the door for a lot of things and opportunities, which I think is what your book does and what your talk does, is helps us think outside of the box. So in your talk, you thought outside of the box from a speaker's perspective. And I get to see a lot of great speakers, and I love how you present, because you presented live, real time, by asking the audience questions about their business and about how our agents are conducting their business, what they're doing in their business. And we got to see the results up on the screen in real time. So tell us a little bit about what you did, and then I'd like to know if any of those results surprised you.
Yeah, well, so it would be inauthentic to me as somebody who's talking about connecting your story to someone else's story, to not allow the audience to have a conversation with me. I don't want to just talk at an audience.
And hundreds of people get to do that.
Yeah, and we all learn so much because, what's better than learning from one person on a stage? Learning from one person on a stage and 400 of your peers at the same time. And so to be able to pull in those insights and bring things in. So I use a polling tool called Menty, which is actually really cool. And
it's very
free.
cool.
So if anybody wants to use it for their teams or check it out.
It is free. So Mentymeter.
Mentymeter.com, Mentimeter. And I have had people who have seen me in audiences and then have emailed me like a month later, who do presentations like at community centers where they talk about, how to get your credit score higher, or, how to flip houses, like any little presentations that they're doing for people that they've said they are now using Menty in those presentations. And it allows them to do data capture.
It's very cool.
I actually had somebody email me a couple weeks ago saying she's trying to figure out how to incorporate Menty into open houses. So she has the QR code and to have people like scan and do stuff just as like a data capture, which I thought was fun.
I'm thinking now like live webinars or Zooms, like that would be a great tool for something like that. So I'm thinking here on the fly of how I could use it for things.
Yeah, and it's really cool over time because you can see trend lines over time. So one of the things in the room that we did was ask people at various points, how large is your team size? How long have you been with eXp? What is your biggest challenge right now? And so we're able to do the segmentation to see how did, the amount of referrals vary from newer agents to agents.
And we got the word clouds that came up on the screen that everyone could see.
All these really fun things. So
and we did have some interesting words that came up on the word clouds, but we're not going to talk about that. But you handled that like a champ.
I was going to say, one of the things that I have to work on is having a longer lag time between like a thought entering my head and like me saying it out loud. But every now and then somebody says something that I almost can't not say out loud because I'm like, oh my gosh. And also, if I see it, like everybody else in the room sees it
exactly.
Too. So at some point you kind of want to acknowledge it. But I have people ask sometimes with the live, are there any filters on, or am I like approving
Nope.
stuff? And I'm like, nope, this is totally full, unfiltered.
It's totally live,
we're
folks.
all grown-ups here in this experience together. But you ask about what I was surprised by. One of the things that I guess I'm not too surprised by this, but I do think it's worth talking about is that I ask people, where do you feel like you have the most room to improve with the experience? Is it before, during, or after the transaction? And a wildly disproportionate amount of people, like probably, I don't know, what do you think it was? Like 70% of people said after.
Yes,
the
I was just looking it up. Yes.
It was
huge. I was surprised by that too.
Yeah. And what's interesting is you think about how much, like I bet if I'd asked the question, how much money are you spending to reach people at every stage of their journey, everybody would say before, right?
Yes.
Like we spend all of this money to try to buy attention, to try to buy eyeballs. On the other end, you've got somebody that you've invested so much time, so much energy, so much money. You have a relationship, and to just kind of walk away from that or just like let it fizzle out is such a missed opportunity.
But it is, it happens in our industry. So there are stats in our industry that repeat and referral business, like agents say that's where the majority of their business comes from. But the National Association of Realtors, when they do their surveys, when we look at where buyers and sellers work with agents for like a second time, they don't do it.
Yeah.
And like,
it's a huge drop off.
It's a huge drop off, a huge number. So there is such a disconnect there with our behavior. And I mean that we're seeing that, and that's a reason why. We had a mastermind yesterday, and one of the things that we did in the mastermind to illustrate the point that you're trying to make is we said, look, if you had one transaction with a customer, like what is that worth financially? And then how many times through the course of a lifetime is that customer likely to transact? Then what is that worth financially? Then how many referrals is that customer, if you did a great job, likely to give? Now add that to that initial number. Now what is the lifetime value of that customer? So like that one lead that turned into a customer, that turned into those transactions, that turned into those referrals, that turns into that lifetime value, that one lead, like what is like, if we switch our mindset around that, that is the opportunity of a lead.
Yeah, and it's very much like compound interest.
Yes.
You know, like the difference of you put $100 in a checking account.
Yes.
And you put $100 in a brokerage account that is getting, I don't know, 10% returns.
Yes.
12%, whatever you want to call it. And then you look at it over a period of years. And I have a similar graphic that I use sometimes in some presentations where, so if you have one customer who creates 2 more customers for you, so that's it. One person who's creating 2 more. And then that trend continues. Each of those creates 2 more. Not everybody forever does it every year, but customer A told 2 people. Those 2 people told 2 people. At the end of 5 years, that's 63 customers from just that one customer. So when you truly create a super fan, there's an amplification of not just the lifetime value of that relationship, but everything around it too.
Yes, it is. So then that leads to a topic that I think you did a great job, and I hope the room really went home thinking about. I hope they're still here actually, because we're still here at the conference. But I hope they're thinking about. And you said it was one of the most dangerous things in business, and that is apathy. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's interesting the stats you were talking about before with the National Association of Realtors. So they ask people right after they've sold their home or they buy a home, how likely are you to work with this real estate agent again or tell your friends? And I think on the listing side, it's usually between like 88 and 90. And then on the purchase side, it's usually like low 90s every year when they ask this question. And it always makes me smile because then you're right. Like you said, when you look at the numbers of how many people actually found their realtor through a friend or used somebody before, it's like in the 40s usually. Like there's a huge gap. The gap between intention and action is huge. And it reminds me of when my kids go see a movie, especially my youngest son who's about to turn 6. Any movie we go see at the movie theater is his favorite movie he's ever seen. And
I love 6-year-olds.
And he wants to see it 12 more times. And it was so much better than the Minecraft movie and the Super Mario movie and the basketball movie and like every other movie that was like his favorite movie in the world forever and ever and ever, because there's a recency bias.
Yes.
And that is exactly what happens with real estate transactions. You have a great experience and you're like, oh yeah, I love this person, they're great. 6 months later you're like, what was their name?
Yeah, who were they?
Wait,
I
who
don't
was this
remember.
Number saved in my phone? I don't even know. And it totally evaporates. The relationship's gone. And
which is why they don't use that same agent or they don't refer that agent.
You were easier to forget than you were to refer.
Yes.
It was easier to just find somebody else, Google another alternative.
Which you said something that I wrote down, which was, I don't care how many contacts you have in your database. I care how many contacts have you in your database.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yes. How many contacts have you in there?
Yes.
And it's funny. I was actually going to start the whole keynote that way, and I was like, I don't want to come out totally swinging and have people being like, who is she?
Okay, so say it from the top to make sure we got it right.
I don't care how many contacts you have in your database. I care how many people have you and theirs, because I think oftentimes as agents, and really in any entrepreneurial role or sales role, we can get caught up in the metrics that don't really matter. We can be like, look at the email rate of my, or the open rate of this email. Look how many views this social video got. Look how many this. Look how many this. I've got this many people. My sphere of influence is what. Like, none of that matters. Those are fake vanity metrics that are easy to pay attention to because there's a real number to it. But none of that matters. What matters is how many people that you have helped buy or sell a home are actively out there telling the people in their lives that are looking for a real estate agent that they would be absolutely crazy to work with anyone
else but you.
That's the only thing I care about. That's the only.
So that's why you say advocacy overpowers apathy.
Absolutely. Because fine is forgettable. There's so many interactions that I have that I'm like, you did a great job fixing the toilet. Yeah. You did a great job, doing the tile. You did a great job on the patio. But like my exterminator, Scott, I have gotten him so much business. I'm like,
when you're on a first name basis, that's a sign that you've crossed over into advocacy.
Love Scott. Yeah, no, it's funny. I wrote about Scott in my book, and I was asking my husband, I was like, is this weird? Can I like tell him that I wrote about him in my book? Because I am so afraid.
I do not know my exterminator's name.
Spiders. Not only do
we have scorpions in Arizona. I'm very afraid of them.
Yeah, they're the same thing. Like spider scorpions, they're just, you're like, why is this the thing God made? And like, why does it exist? And so I was very afraid when I moved from New York to Tennessee because I grew up in Oklahoma where we had spiders. I was terrified of them because no matter what my parents tried, there were always brown recluse spiders in the house. And here's the creepy thing about a brown recluse spider. I don't think there are any scorpions like this. When you get bit by a brown recluse spider, the like venom or whatever that's in your body will continue to attract more spiders to you, so you can keep getting bitten by other spiders.
Are they poisonous?
They are. It's not poisonous. It like rots your. It causes your skin.
All right.
It's like necro something. Yes.
Okay, sounds like you have good reason.
Poison is like I think it's a fair word to use, although I think there's like a semantic thing there where technically it's like not a poisonous spider. But anyway, they're horrible. They're just horrible creatures. And so I was so scared when I moved from New York, which doesn't have them, back to a state with spiders. And so Scott is the exterminator who came during the like termite inspection when we were buying our house, and I had called the office and I told the woman how deathly afraid of these spiders I was, and I was like, I'm not gonna buy the house if they tell me that there could be spiders or there are spiders. And she said, I know exactly who I'm gonna send out. And so Scott became my guy. He's like, you can text me anytime, you can call me anytime. Anytime my boys get like a tick or something, before I call the nurse line or pediatrician, I am texting Scott. I'm like, here's the tick that I just pulled off the kid, or here's this, which is never at our house. It's like they're playing at the park or they're somewhere else, because we don't have ticks, because Scott takes really good care of us. But when Scott left the company that he was at, that had been our exterminator for 5 years, I was like, well, what are you doing? Are you going to another company? Are you starting your own thing?
Where are you going? It's like a hairdresser,
I can't
right?
lose you.
Like if my hairdresser like leaves a salon, like I want to know, where are you going? Because I need to go wherever you're going.
Yeah, you're like, my loyalty lies with you, not with
the salon.
Company.
Yeah.
And so every service provider, regardless of if they're a hairdresser, if they're an exterminator, if they're a real estate agent, they have the power to do that. But in order to do it, they've got to connect with that thing that customer cares about. And it can be different for everybody else, right? Like for the hairdressers, somebody, it might be all about highlights. Somebody else, it might be all about, the shape of their bangs. It might be about they've got some sensory issues. So you're doing this in a way that doesn't make me feel like my head was wet or the blow dryer was too loud or like whatever it is.
But I think what is interesting and challenging about our industry is people transact infrequently in real estate.
Yeah.
With my hairdresser, I'm seeing her every 4 to 6 weeks. So there is an opportunity on a frequent basis for her to create that experience and those touch points. Because we transact so infrequently in real estate, I think it's harder because we have, that it's not happening as often. So that staying in touch and maintaining that relationship to create those experiences, we have to be a lot more diligent about that in between the actual transaction in order to maintain the advocacy.
Well, and you're so right, and I'm so glad you said that, because what I would argue is I care less about the repeat than I do about the refer. Because you're right, in that 7 to 9 years it's going to take somebody to be ready to move. They could have told 100 people.
Yes. And the opportunity for the referrals are tremendous.
Absolutely,
but we miss that opportunity because we think about the transaction.
They're thinking about the repeat.
Yes.
But it's almost like, to make a dating analogy, like when you hit it off with somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm obsessed with them, infatuated with them, like they're getting all of the attention, all of the everything, and then that could lead very quickly to, an engagement, an elopement, a marriage, whatever it is. And in real estate, even though it's infrequent transactions, you're spending so much time with them in that little period of time that you have for the actual transaction, and it is the most important thing in their life.
Yes.
Like that is consuming all of their energy, all of their attention. And when you can meet that moment, when you can meet that energy, they are not going to forget.
Right.
What they can forget is when it feels like, oh, I had somebody who was juggling me with 3 other clients and I was their second priority. And man, I really feel like they might have treated me better if my budget was an extra $200,000, or they got so annoyed when I insisted on the list price being whatever. Like people feel that energy, and that turns it.
What they forget is we had this connection during the transaction. You got the commission check and I never heard from you again.
Absolutely.
Like that's when they feel like I was dropped like a hot potato, right? Yep. Like we had a great spring romance, right? Like we had a summer fling, and then you dropped me like a hot potato. And that's typically what happens. Yeah. Right. And then sometime down the road, the agent says, oh, yeah, I should probably reach out again. And then the agent tries to spark up the romance again. And then that, doesn't always feel the same.
Well, it doesn't ever at all, because a lot of times they do it with the equivalent of like a you up text. It feels like a booty call, because it's not like I'm rekindling this to see how you're going. It's like, hey, do you have any neighbors who are looking to move? Like, would you like me to drop off some cards for you to give them away?
It feels desperate, right? And that's usually when it happens, is when the agent's business is down and they're like, okay, I've got to reach out to my past clients to see if they have any referrals for me. Yeah. So we've got to do better than that.
We have to do better. And do I think this is happening because people don't care about their customers or don't want to maintain a relationship? Of course not. It's happening because we're all so stretched. We're all so taxed. We have so much going on. And that's why creating the systems, leaning on the technology, having that high tech together with the high touch to say, this is the plan. Like this is the game plan. I'm not going to go more than this long without touching base with the client and really doing it. Not the we've all been on the receiving end of the quarterly text. It's like, hey, was just thinking about you. Hope everything's great in your world. Talk to you soon. And then you get the identical text 8 weeks later from that person. But you can feel when people truly care about you.
You sure can.
And the thing that I also thought was such a huge opportunity, so many people said to post. So I am living in the first home I've ever bought, and after the transaction, the thing that I thought was the most confusing was on the mortgage side, because the loan kept getting sold. And so I would get the paperwork that was like, hey, we sold your loan. It's with somebody else now. Hey, your loan got sold again. It's with somebody else. And I was like, what is
happening? Yes.
Why is this happening? How long is it going to continue to happen? Did I do something wrong? And then you get all of the spam email that looks official because it's all public record. And so people are sending stuff and I don't know what to ignore and what is real. And my loan officer, who cashed the commission check and was like, see you never ever reached out,
never explained
never
it,
did anything. And thank God I had an amazing real estate agent who said, any questions you have about anything, let me know. And she talked me through all of it. She continued to stay in touch with oh, hey, don't forget, if you want that amazing grass in the spring, now's the time to aerate and pre-seed your lawn. And I was like, I don't know what aerating or pre-seeding means. And she's like, oh, don't worry. Do you want me to give you some recommendations for the people I love who do that? She was constantly showing up in a way that was so helpful.
Creating
hey,
that
do you know how to winterize your pipes? And I'm like, I have no idea what that means. I haven't the fondest idea of where to start or what to do. But because she had built out an intentional sequence that to me didn't feel like I was in a sequence. It felt like she just cared and was taking care of me and looking out for me of the things that I needed to know, the right information at the right time that make my friendship with her invaluable. My neighbors just put their house on the market a couple days ago, and they put the sign in the yard, and I immediately texted her and I was like, please help me get amazing neighbors that I love. Here's my wish list, go. And she was like, okay, I'm on it. I'm going to go try to find somebody to move into this house that you're going to love to be next door neighbors with.
That's what advocacy is. That you've described it. Well, Brittany, the book is Creating Superfans. I'm a super fan of yours. You've created a whole bunch of super fans here at eXp. Thank you so much for joining us and sitting down and talking with me. How can everyone find you?
Well, thank you for having me, Wendy. The super fandom is mutual. I love you and your team and everything that you're doing. The book Creating Superfans is available everywhere books are sold, and people can find any information that they need and tons of free resources and bonuses at my website, brittanyhodak.com.
All right, go check it out, Creating
All right.
Superfans.